Greetings, good day. I hope you're well. I'm back again. I haven't been live in a while. Just been sorting through and working through, and so I thought I would come on today and share some information with you. So I'm going to be streaming on Instagram as well as YouTube at the same time. And today I wanted to come through and talk to you all about your mind being the problem. Your mindset is the problem on your journey to wellness and not your body. Your body isn't the problem, your mindset is. So, I mean, this issue came up, or it comes up quite often in the work that I do, in the conversations that I have with women. And it starts off with me just noticing that there is a lot of shame in prioritizing your health, and women tend to discredit their bodies, until they're in pain, until you're in pain, until you're in a justifiable amount of pain, until you are no longer able to function optimally, until you're bent over or you're, incapacitated. This is when you begin to address the pain. And so you start looking at aftercare rather than self care. And this is a detriment, right? There's a lot of frustration around the conversations that women are having with their doctors because of this, right? You're having these conversations with your primary caregivers, and then you don't feel satisfied. You don't feel satisfied with the answers that they're giving you because they have generic answers. They're familiar with the body, they're familiar with the science, they've seen most of the conditions before. And so they have their, generic go-tos, their medicines, their suggestions, whatever that they're going to give you. And so because you've not made yourself a priority, because you've allowed yourself to get to the point of chronic condition, because you don't feel comfortable, because you're experiencing all that you're experiencing, now you're going to speak to your doctor and you want to have more understanding. Most of the people that I work with, that I have conversations with, they really love to search and do research and understand why and dig deeper. And so when you're going to your doctors and you're having these conversations, you're left feeling unsatisfied. You're unsatisfied because they can only lead you so far down the path of healing, right? And so you're left to your own devices, and so you're drinking more water, you eat a little bit more salad, you've decided that you're going to get a gym membership and you're going to start working out because these are the things that we know to do, that are associated with health and being healthy. And so, we're just going to jump on that bandwagon because the doctor says that my blood levels are fine and, all of my other tests came back, but I'm still having pain while having sex. I still have heavy menstrual cycles. You know what I mean? My fibroids are still growing. And I just had another miscarriage last year, right? So it's these big fat no's that we're seeing all around us. No, you didn't get pregnant. No, there's still an issue. No, we haven't found the problem. No, you're actually not feeling good. And so we want to know what's going on because in the end there's a level of betrayal that happens to the body, right? This is your home. This is where you're being housed. You know what I mean? Your spirit is living here, your body is functioning. You're here until the day you transition to your next experience, whatever that's going to be, whatever your afterlife perspective is, right? But the point is that living in your body and not feeling safe, a lot of women who are living in their bodies and not feeling safe, a lot of men and women who are living their daily lives and they don't feel safe in their bodies. So this means that there's a level of anxiety and stress that you're living out on a daily basis because you're not well. You're not well. Nobody thinks that you're unwell because your tests are coming back regularly, but you've been, living with these issues for so long, and now there's a problem and you need to get rid of it, right? So it's important that you understand, even though this might be your circumstance, it's possible to develop that trust and confidence in your body. It's possible to, gain that independence and that level of autonomy for you to be able to manage your cycles, to be able to manage your hormones, to be able to move beyond some of the residual pain And trauma that's left inside of the body, that the body remembers from days of old, right? The beliefs that you're holding, the experiences that you're holding. And in my previous post, I was saying that these habits and beliefs that we build around our chronic illnesses, around our fibroids, our PCOS, our endometriosis, our eating habits, our resting habits, like they have it's a whole hierarchy that they have, right? Because we develop these habits based off of our emotional experiences, and so we these habits become a part. They become top shelf. This is our go-to, and at the same time, it's feeding into the problems that we're having. So can you see the cycle that we're living through, that we're experiencing? So gaining that awareness, gaining that confidence and that trust in your body, knowing that you can develop the tools to move beyond your illness, it's possible. Okay. And so, what I see happening is a lot of research. And I think that's really great. A lot of jumping onto YouTube. Google is the best friend of a lot of people. So finding a lot of information, like how do I deal with PCOS? What can I eat to reduce cystic pain? What position do I need to take, to avoid painful sex? How can I work on my issues of infertility? And so, we're going down these rabbit holes. That's really what it is. We're going down these rabbit holes of free information to find out how we can best address our circumstances. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I am an information junkie. I have a Gemini moon. So I just think my way into feelings and situations and all of these different things. But what happens is you gain a lot of information, but you don't have a transformation. How do you put it together? Right? And so when you have to think of putting it together, how frustrated do you get putting it together? Guys, I recently had somebody sit down with me and work on some automation that needed to be completed in my business. It had been like lagging and carrying on for the longest while. And I've been working with different people, and I finally got someone to do it. And, I had gathered a lot of information of like how to's and, this and that. And, I think I can do this and put this together and piecemeal this and piecemeal that. And that's what I was doing. That's what the people were doing. But when I hired someone to do the work for me, it was done in no time. And I look back at all the times that I'm approaching the work and I don't want to do it because it's a learning curve, right? Like, oh shit, I thought I had to do this. Now I have to go back and watch the video to do this. And you got to click on here and this didn't work. Do you understand that process of understanding, of learning how to do it? And so we gather a lot of the information, and it's good to have this information, but too much information is good for nothing, because then it just sits in your head and you regurgitate it. And then you give yourself even more reason to maintain your bad habits. Why? Because now you're comfortable. Now you're comfortable in what you've been living in. It's that old pain is very familiar to you. It actually feels good to you. You're used to, the habits that you've built around it. Right. And then, now every time you're making that attempt to change, you don't want to make the change because, it requires a level of incline. Like you need to figure out the next steps. And this means that you're going against your habits. This means that your mind is the problem, not your body, because your body is going to adjust to the actual environment that you're giving it. Whatever you're cultivating in your immediate environment, your internal environment and your external environment, it's going to trickle. The words you say out loud, you speak to yourself first. Your body receives this information and it converts it through cellular activity, turning things on, turning things off, right? So if your mindset, right, is not in the place of like, okay, I really need to get this done. This is where I want to be. This is what I have to do. I need change. You know what I mean? I'm tired of where I'm at. I need change. And I see that it's going to take work and I'm prepared to do it. If you don't get into that state, your body's not the problem. So you can't sit there and say, oh, poor me, woe me. You know what I mean? All these things are happening to me, and I've gone to my doctor, and they can't do anything. So here I am, just going through life trying to figure out how to move beyond, this, recurrent miscarriage issue that I'm having, this PCOS that's throwing me for a loop, these sugar cravings that have me gnawing on everything that I can get my hands on, right? So I want us to really start considering this. You know what I mean? It really is how you position your thoughts in respect to what it is that you're trying to do, the context, right? And the circumstances. So I began working with a beautiful woman at the top of the year. And, she was really, really busy. She was really busy. Her schedule, wasn't permitting her to apply the lessons in a timely fashion the way that she wanted to. But the beauty with the work is that the work can be adjusted according to you and your needs and your time frame. So we were working with that. So, and, we were meeting bi-monthly, so every other week. And so we had our first session, and when we came back together, we were reflecting on how these 2 weeks were. And so this particular person was really, really frustrated with her body. She was very frustrated with her body based off of dealing with trauma that was unprocessed, like, having conversations and really realizing that certain situations were not right. And so, coming to terms that, okay, now because we recognize this in relation to your body, in relation to your sexuality, this is how you've begun to curate your life and your habits and your go-tos based off of these issues. So we began to take apart the pastiche, the textures, the contours of who she is. And I gave her very simple methods that can be implemented with a couple of augmentations here and there. And so here we are post session 2 weeks later, and she was telling me that you know without actually implementing every single thing that I was suggesting, she had lost 5 pounds. She didn't even start taking the medicine. You know what I mean? Like, she just made small changes in her diet. She wasn't even applying pressure. But what the biggest change for her was her mindset and her relationship to her body. Let me tell you something. One thing about me and in the work that I do with women and in how I speak, I am a fierce advocate of you being in autonomous control over your body. You need to know that you have the last word on your body, and not the people who are working for you. They can make suggestions for you, they can highly suggest, they can give you an opinion and their professional advice, but you are the final say on what happens to your body. And so the last piece to this particular person I was working with was that when she had gone to see her doctor, within the 2 weeks of our appointment, she said the conversation was completely different because she was able to start communicating things with her doctor, notes that her doctor had made from sessions ago that she had never brought up. And now the doctor was reviewing them and asking her, you know what I mean? Suggestions for specialists that, the doctor all of a sudden knew and was, going to give her these referrals to, right? And so this developed a whole new level of confidence for this woman, based off of seeing, okay, I didn't have to do everything right away, but I needed to get out of my own way to start applying the work, right? To take note of and responsibilities for where I am. So, I mean, basically, it's about being open to doing something new, right? And not doing it haphazardly, please. Oh my gosh. Because sometimes we say we're going to do something new and then we pick and choose, right? What is going to work for us. And especially if there's a method to whatever it is that you're resourcing and researching, it's important to, really understand how to navigate those particular laws of that subject or genre that you're working within, right? So be open to doing something new, you know what I mean, and giving it its all. It's about inquiry, You know what I mean? We need to start this inquiry into ourselves. All these deeper longings, all of these, existential questions that we have, all of even the illnesses that we have. Okay, something that it isn't always well received, but it's a known fact, especially when you're working in natural healing, natural medicine, and specifically you're working in soul therapy and soul healing and energy medicine, is that crises comes when you're ready to change. Crises comes because you are prepared on other levels. Your being is prepared to elevate itself. And so sometimes, these issues, are frustrating us. They're, en français on dit on est tanné. In French you say on est tanné. We've had enough, and that's what it is. They are there to push you into the next level of becoming. And so when you can look at your illness, when you can look at your condition from that perspective of growth, from that perspective of, okay, my body isn't the problem. My body is not the problem. My body is perfect, actually. My body is perfect. My being is perfect. Everything about me is perfect. My mindset and what I choose to believe is what the issue is, right? And how I perpetuate these beliefs onto my world is what the problem is, because then we have an incongruence. What you think, what you feel, and what you believe is not the exact same thing of what you're actually doing, okay? And so, we don't want to give up when we start. So we need to really take the time to think about this. Okay. So I want you to start that process of inquiry. You know what I mean? Like, if these things are happening to me, what am I doing? Where, am I giving people a chance to, have more say in the end about what's happening to me, and am I satisfied with these conclusions that are coming up? Do I have a diagnosis? Do I not have a diagnosis? Like, where am I know that I have a problem. I know that this is an issue. Like, it bothers me every time I turn around, every time I go bathe, every time I make love with my partner. Like, it's just in my mind. It causes anxiety. Like, where are you in that? What is the mindset? What are your beliefs behind this? Okay. So that's what I wanted to share with you all today. I want to invite you, if you are in the process of wanting to start your womb wellness journey and you're looking for quick tools, you can hop onto the link in my bio and you can purchase the womb wellness reflection booklet, or you can get the Get Me Going House Journal. And this is where we walk through the 12 months, aka the 12 houses, and do reflection exercises for you to become aware of where you are and how you've been showing up in all areas of your life. And so that is it. I will be back to talk some more about our mindset and just how we as women choose to care for our bodies, and how we give ourselves permission, or give others permission to have the last say on what we need. And so that is it, y'all. I love you. Take care. Be safe. Good afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are when you see this. Be well.